Six Nations Sunday game sees France hosting Italy. It's number 5 in the world against number 14. So, of all the games this weekend, and as it kind of generally goes, this one is predicted to be a pretty lopsided one. But we will go through the squads, the recent history between the sides, some of the predictions, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how this one may play out. Fabien Galtier, the French coach, has got COVID again. So fingers crossed he makes a pretty swift recovery. By all accounts, he's doing pretty well. But it means he's going to be kind of doing his job remotely for the next few days anyway, as he isolates. A few people asked, what's that noise in the background? It's cicadas, the insects. Male cicadas looking for love, basically. So, yeah, that's what that noise is. It's summer here in New Zealand. But yeah, Fabien Galtier's got COVID. They've released a bunch of their guys back to their clubs. It was a pretty big French squad. So guys like Vakatawa and Dulon and whatnot, they are not available because they were sent back to their clubs. But the guys who are playing, you've got Baille, Marchand and Atonio, which is a pretty tidy looking front row. And there's kind of talk that the French may revert a bit more to the kind of set-piece traditional play. We may see them kind of maul it up a bit more. And if you saw my stats video the other day, France were pretty low on the maul count. They tended to like to set moves rather than set rolling mauls. So that'll be an interesting one if they try that out a bit against the Italians. Woki and Willemse is the second row. So Woki seems to, at least for France, have made this move from the back row to the second row. Not quite permanent, but it seems to be a more regular occurrence. The back row is Jelonch, Cretin and Alldritt. Remember, Olivon has a long-term injury. And these guys, these three in particular, I mean, Jelonch has been Mr. Versatile, who can kind of fill any role that he's asked to do. Cretin's going to get through a lot of work, and Alldritt is going to be very dangerous ball in hand. So you would have to, I think, be pretty happy if you're a French fan looking at that back row. 9 and 10 is Dupont and Ntamack. Remember, there was some doubts about the availability of some of these French players because they had their own COVID outbreak a couple of weeks ago, including, I think, Dupont. But he's back and he's captain for this week, so he is going to be dangerous. That just kind of goes without saying. Even when he, was it against Italy last year where he didn't look that good, but was still finished the game with like clean breaks and try assists and whatnot. I can't quite recall, but yeah, you know he's going to keep the Italian defenders pretty busy. Danty and Fickou is the midfield, so I do like that midfield. Danty, the big unit, bit of crash ball there, and Fickou just with that way he reads the game and his kind of all-round skill set to control the way his backline goes. I think is that's a really good combination. It'd be nice to see a bit more of them going forward. Obviously, Vincent was another guy who was unavailable with injury. Penaud and Vilière are the wingers. Penaud was ever present for France last year, and he would be, I'm sure, pretty good odds to score a try in this game. But we'll see if he gets the chance. And Jaminet is there at fullback. I'll be interested to see if he kicks the goals or if they let Ntamack kick the goals. You guys with more insights will have to let me know who you reckon is going to take the shots this weekend. The bench is Mauvaka, Gros, and Bamba. Again, pretty useful front row replacements. If those guys were the starters, I don't think you'd be complaining too much. I mean, Mauvaka especially really stepped up when Marchand was unavailable at the end of last year. Taofifenua is the lock replacement, and then Gros is there as your Lucy replacement. 3 backs, Luku, Moefana, and Ramos. Ramos, I guess, is going to cover 10. Because they don't really have a specialist 10 cover on the bench. It'll be interesting if they bring on Luku with more than... Like traditionally, Dupont's played like 70 plus minutes, but I guess if the game is in the bag against Italy early, then there's not necessarily any need to kind of push Dupont, 60 minutes plus. He may get subbed early. It will be interesting to see. For Italy, I hope many of us are kind of hoping for a bit more from Italy this year. I can see they've got some talented guys. They have drawn a lot of guys from the Benetton side, which is a little bit limiting in terms of the kind of selections, but I guess it also means there's good chemistry between some of these guys, although stepping up to to internationals, obviously another level. But I really do wish these guys well. I want them to get some close games, even if they're just, competitive for 60, 70 minutes and then lose it at the death. I think that would be better than some of the stuff we've seen in recent times. We've got to hope Coach Kieran Crowley is going to... I think he's talked about focusing on the defence. So if they can get that down, I think you can build on the attack stuff a bit later. But if you're shipping 50 points, then it's probably just not going to happen. The front row is Fischetti, Lucchesi, and Pasquale. I don't think we've seen Pasquale play for Italy at all last year, so it's a welcome return for him. Remember, Riccioni is out with a long-term injury, which is a real pity because he is probably their leading tight head. From what limited amount I know about Italian rugby, the guy is a very good scrummager. Canoni and Ruzza are the second rowers. I'm really happy that Ruzza is getting a start. I talk him up every time I can because, as I said, I'm not an expert on Italian rugby by any means, but anytime I see that guy play, I'm impressed. He's a really dynamic ball-carrying lock. So if they get him into the action, I think he can really add some value. Negri, Lamaro, and Halafihi are the back rowers. Lamaro is captain. Remember, he was actually remarkably good for Italy last year. Gets through a lot of work, but then Negri, in terms of ball carrying as well as tackling, is kind of one of their bigger performers as well. Halafihi will be on his debut. He's 28 years old, I think, so he's not that young. 28 still pretty young in the scheme of things, but he's not inexperienced in terms of his rugby career. They've got another debutant who's really quite young, but Halafihi, hopefully we can see some kind of big block-busting ball carrying from him as well, because that's kind of what you expect from him at number 8. Varney and Galbisi is the 19 combo. Galbisi's kicking. I know he's such a fun guy to watch ball in hand, but I'll be keen to see how he goes with his kicking, because sometimes if the kicking gets a bit aimless, it puts the defence under pressure, but again, sometimes he's kicking because they are under pressure. Zanon and Brex are the midfield. I like Zanon. I think he's a really useful midfielder. As I said, with other guys as well, kind of very difficult man to bring down when he gets up ahead of steam. Menoncello is the other debutant. He's only 19 years old. He's on the right wing. Monty Ioane, the tackle-busting machines, on the left wing. He does remarkably well in the scheme of things. And Paravani is there at fullback. The bench is Fiver, Neymar, and Zeloki as the front row replacements. Fusa, Pitanelli, and Zuliani is another debutant on the bench. So it's just the two backs, 6 forwards. Brayley and Marin are the back replacements. Marin is another debutant. So you've got 4 potential first games for Italy for this Italian side. So in terms of caps, and I haven't checked the ages, but certainly in terms of caps, this is the least capped side that's going to be running out this weekend. And away to France is tough. Remember, you're without guys like Maya and Polledri and whatnot, some real proper game breakers. So yeah, it's all stacked up against this Italian squad, but as I said, fingers crossed they can be competitive for at least periods of this game, because I really do want to see them kind of take a step up, but it's pretty ruthless competition. The most recent record kind of highlights that fact. The last 5 games have all gone France's way. Italy hasn't beaten France since 2013. I don't think they've ever won at the Stade de France, and the most recent result, which was in Rome last year, was 50 points to 10, which is a bit of a hiding. So it is stacked up against the Italians. The average score across the last 5 games is 39-14. 39-14, if that was the way the scoreline finished tomorrow, wouldn't seem that bad. I don't know. The bookies have got France by 35 points, and the Rugby Forecast algorithm's a little bit more conservative, saying 26 points. So either way, France is supposed to get this done by at least kind of 3 or 4 tries, which is probably the way things are expected to go with most pundits as well. It is at the Stade de France. It's a Sunday game. Mike Adamson from Scotland is the ref. Hopefully he has a good game as well. I feel like he puts himself under a little bit of pressure at times. It's a 4 p.m. local kickoff, which is 3 p.m. GMT. For those of us in New Zealand, I think that's a 4 o'clock in the morning kickoff. So maybe just late enough to get up for in terms of the very early morning. But you guys let me know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. If you haven't joined the Super Brew pool with your predictions, sign up. You're running out of time for that one. If you want to watch the Six Nations this weekend, all the games are on in English anyway, on either the BBC, ITV, Virgin or RTE. You can jump on with a VPN and watch all these games for free. I'll put a link to Express down in the description. I use them very regularly for rugby action like the URC and whatnot as well, the Premiership for sure. So yeah, very useful tool. Check that one out if you're sorted, if you're not sorted for how to watch it. But otherwise, as I said, let me know your thoughts, guys. Do you think Italy is kind of on a hiding to nothing? Do you think Kieran Crowley can build something here? It's only the first game of the season for them. What's going to be an acceptable result for the Italians, do you think? And what should Galtier, without Galtier being there, be aiming for from these from this French outfit? Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.